Government's poor planning for the fuel shortage and charges it to resolve the problem as soon as possible. Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing announces resumption of work on affordable housing projects initiated by MPP administration and says prospective homeowners should be able to buy the properties through mortgage schemes arranged by government. Upper East region makes some gains towards reducing neonatal deaths. And senior national football side Black Stars crash out of ongoing FIFA World Cup in Brazil after 2-1 defeat to Portugal. Also coming up in the bulletin, showbiz, more business news and international news. Do stay tuned.
With Israel Live.
In the very first story, Deputy Minister of Finance and Economic Planning Ato Forcing says government has concluded arrangements to settle its indebtedness to bulk petroleum suppliers whose unwillingness to supply fuel to the market has led to a shortage. The Deputy Minister explains that under the arrangements, there will be an initial payment of 84 million Ghana cedis Thursday, with the remaining 220 million cedis to be paid over a period. He said the payment should improve the financial situation of the BDCs to enable them deliver some stocks onto the market.
Which started from the beginning of the week, has worsened in the last few days, forcing several commercial drivers to park their vehicles either at home or at a nearby filling station to await fresh supplies. The Deputy Minister of Finance, however, believes the situation should be resolved soon now that government is settling the BDCs. He said the initial payment of 84 million Ghana cedis should clear government's debt as of December 31 last year.
We want to take steps as soon as possible. As we speak, there's process ongoing and we are going to make some payment to them. That obviously will give them some sort of liquidity so that they can go ahead and then bring their cargoes in. The Bank of Ghana was obviously there. They also agreed that they are going to give them the forest cover, and that will mean that as soon as possible they can get their bankers to establish some LCs for them, and then in the end the problem will be resolved. As of December last year, we had a subsidy to the tune of 204 million. Okay, and we paid 120 million. That leaves us a balance of 84 million. From January to date, subsidy of 220 million. It's amazing. And obviously, it's important that we have to pay that as well. So you look at it, add the 84 million to the 220 million, it's about 304 million. We want to first of all clear the 2013 arrests, and that is what we are processing now. So 84 million, we'll pay that. And then we'll look at 2014 arrests, what we've accumulated to date, and agree some sort of payment schedule with them. We're sure the process is completed. I have to go to office and confirm that. But as soon as the process is complete, we know that some money is going to them.
He, however, believes government would have to find a more efficient way to target its subsidies, which are to be blamed for the huge indebtedness.
But it's important that we say that subsidy is not the way. Okay, a subsidy on fuel is not the way. Because if within a year you have to incur subsidies of 220 million for barely 5 months in a year, so within a year you're talking of 500 million. That can fix our schools, that can fix our roads, and it's important that we acknowledge that fact. But it has happened, and we have to find a way to support them so that they can also grow their business. I think that subsidy needs to be targeted, and I agree that we need to support sectors like the fishing sector. Give them some subsidy in the form of premise, give them subsidies to our rural community, the vulnerable ones. You have to give some subsidy to them in the form of kerosene, but it should be targeted. It shouldn't be blanket. And I personally think that there are people out there that doesn't need subsidy on fuel or on gasoline, and that is what we have to look at.
He also says government has shown commitment to resolve the situation as soon as possible.
In a related development, government came in for some bashing in Parliament Thursday over the fuel shortage in parts of the country. Some MPs who spoke on the issue blamed poor planning, adding that the resultant dip in productivity that will impact Parliament and other sectors of the economy could have been avoided if government had been proactive enough. They cautioned government to, as a matter of urgency, put things in order before the week ends to avert a further worsening of the situation.
In the opinion of the MP for Old Tafo and ranking member of the Finance Committee in Parliament, It doesn't make sense for government to commit a blunder such as this.
Yesterday, we were having a finance committee meeting, and one member sent a text message that he's having problems buying fuel. I mean, what kind of nation is that? A member of parliament who's coming to legislate must worry about finding fuel, Of course, because of the doomso, the pressure on diesel too is there, if you can find it. But if the government doesn't do something, next week will be worse. We are going on a long holiday weekend. You shouldn't want to have a crisis on our hands. I think it can be solved, and if the president is true, he's directed, I think the ministry should make arrangements so that the banks can be assured.
MP for Ekuapim South, Barima Osei Asare, said this could have been avoided.
If you look at the queues this morning, I was saying for the past 2 days, it's pathetic. And I think that it's all due to lack of planning and organization. Because, one, the BDCs warned the government from last week that if they don't do anything, there's imminent shortage. This could have been avoided. In the first place, why do you have to wait for the BDCs to warn the whole nation that the fuel shortage is imminent? Then for you to sit down for it to happen, then you call them that come and let's negotiate, and then we hear that the president has released $60 million towards payment for them to be able to also pay their suppliers and then their bankers. We could have avoided this. Very unfortunate. The way things are going, if we don't address this in the next few days, the whole business will go to the halt.
Others also complained of the effects this will have on the ordinary Ghanaian.
The situation is quite precarious. You talk about people queuing, taxi drivers, almost everybody. Today when I was coming around Spintex Road, a lot of workers just by the road find it difficult to get even taxis. Even trotros are not running. The situation is so bad.
It's not only affecting me, but affecting a larger number of Ghanaians. And transport, already we don't have an extraordinary transport system as we have them in other countries. Ours depends on trotro and a few persons who have their own vehicles. So if trotro becomes paralyzed and taxis also are not working, obviously it's going to affect so many of them. I have a car, lucky me, but how many, people like me, how many are we in this country? Yeah, just about only 500,000.
The Speaker, however, asked for the matter to be tabled properly for it to be admitted when a member tried to raise the matter on the floor.
Government says work has resumed on the affordable housing project initiated by the NPP administration and the former President John Echukwu Kufuor. Deputy Minister for Water, Resources, Works and Housing, Samson Ahi, at the launch of Multi TV's Habitat Fair, indicated the move should help reduce the massive housing deficit.
Ghana is said to have a housing deficit of up to 1.7 million units, which experts say can only be bridged if 200,000 homes are built annually. Over the years, putting up buildings have mainly been undertaken by individuals who have the means, as homes constructed by real estate developers have often been out of the reach of many. The affordable housing project, started by the Kufuor administration, was therefore to provide homes to low-income earners, except it stalled with his exit from office. The NDC administration, however, says work has resumed on some of the projects.
Today, if you go to the pond site, it has been given to Tema Development Corporation. They are on site as we speak, working to complete the facilities there. Then the rest of the sites, which is the Botema one, Kumasi, Koforibia, Y and Tamale, has been given to SNET. As we speak, there are contractors on site at the Botema one, and they are preparing also to move to Kumasi and the other sites to complete.
So when are we likely to see these projects completed?
In fact, the projects are at the various stages of completion, and for that matter, there are some which we can't complete within 8 months, and others between 8 months to 18 months, we should be able to complete.
Samson Ahi also disclosed a real estate bill will soon be tabled before Parliament. The bill, he says, should regulate the activities of developers.
Many people use it to engage in money laundering, because there's no regulatory body to conduct the activities of. So in a way to address this money laundering too, that is why we are introducing this one. But largely just to have a body to regulate the conduct of our developers in the housing industry.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association (GREDA) has petitioned government to levy a flat rate of 3% on housing instead of the intended 17.5%. The association says such a huge VAT on housing may cripple the industry as it will raise the cost of homes.
Our analysis showed that the actual increment will be about 9 to 10%, which means that a property that you were purchasing for 100,000 in the past, today you pay about 110,000 for it, which we think it is too astronomical. And so if the state will not do something about it, then it means that our already existing housing deficit, which we are already struggling to meet, is going to be worsened because more people will not be able to afford anymore. And then the businesses, that the real estate development companies, may fold up, and it will mean that loss of job and all that.
The 5th Multi-TV Habitat Fair will run from 1st to 3rd August in Accra, and then Kumasi and Takoradi later in the year. Organizers say the fair will bring together all players in the housing sector to serve the needs of Ghanaians.
Well, Deputy Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, Samson, and he says government is partnering financial institutions to deliver housing units to prospective homeowners. A one-bedroom home in an average Accra suburb, such as Adenta, could cost about 140,000 Ghana cedis, or $40,000, beyond the reach of the average worker. The Deputy Minister, however, says government arrangement with the financial houses will afford an opportunity for prospective homeowners to buy property on mortgage.
What we are trying to do now, in fact, if you go to the US, if you go to Europe and Canada and so on and so forth, it is mortgage financing that enables new graduates to be able to own their own homes. So I agree with you. The homes that are springing out today are expensive, and it will be extremely difficult for a newly graduates who has secured a job to purchase one, even if one bedroom is 50 million or 5,000 Ghana cedis. If you ask people to come and pay before they move into occupancy, it will be very difficult. So whatever we're doing now is to engage these mortgage financial institutions. And I'm happy that is why you saw HFC, Ghana Home Loans, Stanbic Bank, Fidelity Bank, and so on. They are all interested now into mortgage financing. So what we'll do is that once you are on regular source of monthly income, you should be able to secure your own homes depending on your monthly salaries that you earn.
In other news, the mortal remains of the late chief of Bimbilla, Nandani Dasana, have finally been laid to rest. Nandani was murdered along with 4 others at his palace last Thursday by unidentified assailants. 17 suspects have so far been arrested. Northern Regional Correspondent Hashmin Mohammed joins me on the line with more on the funeral rites. Good evening to you, Hashmin. What can you tell me about the ceremony?
Well, thank you very much, Israel. This morning, authorities of the Tamale Teaching Hospital handed over the mortal remains to government, and government with a security escort handed over the body to the family of the late chief at Bimbilla. And at Bimbilla itself, it was a very short ceremony. The Deputy Northern Regional Minister, Alhaji Abi Husseini, led a high-powered government delegation to present the body to the family. He thanked them, the family, for being patient all this while, and he assured the family that government will continue to pursue the perpetrators and then arrange them before court for the law to take its own hands. He called on the indigents of Nano to remain calm and allow government to handle the issue. Now, the head of the family, Pati Nantuama, thanks government for the effort that it has put in place in looking for the perpetrators. Now he has appealed to government to put in more effort in ensuring that justice is finally brought to the family.
Now, what's the very latest on the investigations? Have they been able? Have the police been able to arrest any further suspects, or are they making any headway?
Well, at the moment, as it stands now, the number of suspects still remains 17 because we have not had any information of more arrests being made. But with the Regional Security Council, they are still pursuing some other suspects who are on the run. And the assurance that they have given to the people of the Nanum is that they will still pursue them and they will bring them to book.
All right, thank you very much. That was Hashmi Mohammed reporting on the final funeral rites for the late overlord of the Nanumba traditional area. We're staying in the upper regions. The Upper East region recorded 148 neonatal deaths in the year 2013. Though this figure shows a decline from the 172 neonatal deaths recorded in 2012, the Upper East Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. John Koku Awuna-Williams, believes the numbers could be reduced a lot more if certain traditional beliefs and practices in the area are abandoned. Albert Sore has more.
Upper East Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. John Koku Awuna-Williams, was interacting with the media as part of efforts to bring them on board to help educate the public about the contribution of certain traditional practices to neonatal deaths in the region. He cited the denial of eggs and meat to expectant mothers in some parts of the Upper East region because it is believed they will bring forth thieves. According to him, these are some of the practices the media would have to preach against.
Within the whole ambit of child mortality, we also realize that almost 40 to 50% of our mortality under 5 is contributed by newborn. That's neonatal mortality. And so if we're able to address that based on the percentage contribution of neonate mortality to our under 5 mortality, if we're able to address that, then we realize we're making so much progress towards what? Under 5 mortality.
The Upper East Regional Health Directorate, he says, has also been working to improve newborn care in the region as a measure to check growing neonatal deaths. Rufina Asuru is the Upper East Regional Coordinator for Newborn Care.
We know we cannot do it all. We need the community support. We need the support of our volunteers. We need the support of all stakeholders so that we can achieve the MDG. So we've had 2 stakeholder conferences already in this region where all the stakeholders, including NGOs and community leaders, traditional leaders, the political leaders, were all invited and they were taking through what the situation is in our region.
Albert Sore's report for Joy News.
We're taking a break, but we have more stories coming up. Stay tuned. A 2-day forum for Catholic development organizations has opened in Accra to discuss ways of coordinating the activities in the country. The forum aims to reduce duplication of developmental programs while targeting critical issues of social concern.
Catholic Development Organization over the past 50 years has worked throughout the country to implement programs on agriculture, health, water, sanitation, emergency relief and peace building among several others. Working through the Catholic Relief Services and International Alliance of 16 Catholic development agencies, there has been no coordination, which has often led to duplication of efforts.
Basically, we have come together, as we say, to create a kind of social market space where we can share ideas, experiences, knowledge, but also develop strategies that can enhance our development work, because that's what we do. And And as you can see, our development agencies from all the 20 Catholic dioceses are here. Our development partners from Europe, Italy, United Kingdom, Germany, all the other Caritas organizations are here. So, and in doing this, that is how we also increase our effectiveness in coordinated action, but also in evolving new strategies for engagement in the area of public policy advocacy.
The forum will also leverage other opportunities for knowledge sharing, resource mobilization, common strategy development, and general networking among local and external Catholic development agencies for effective development cooperation.
To encourage the youth to venture into agriculture in Ghana, where the average farmer is 50 years plus, there are suggestions the youth should be enlightened about opportunities in the sector's supply chain, so that rather than the traditional hoe and cutlass farming, agriculturist Adotei Brown believes the young ones should be directed towards more rewarding ventures. He was speaking at the official launch of a rabbit, grass cutter, cage and pond fishing business school here in Accra.
Agriculture, the backbone of Africa's economy, is threatened by an aging farming population as the youth are turning away from farming, often thought to be difficult, time-consuming, risky and yet not very rewarding. Majority of the people engaged in agriculture are believed to be over 50 years old. Hence, calls for Africa to think critically about how to encourage the youth to take over from the aging farmers. Agriculturist Adotei Brown believes there is the urgent need to reflect on agricultural policies and how attractive they are to the youth.
No, the youth is not seriously seeing agriculture as a very lucrative area. No, it's because of the way they perceive agriculture. It's because of the way, because they're not seeing agriculture as business. That is why the new models, our models that is coming out, wants to talk about the value chain. The rabbit value chain or the grass cutter value chain. So it presents an opportunities for other people to be stakeholders in the value chain, and that will be very attractive to the youth. Most of the youth will not want to be involved in the primary thing, say like weeding, like feeding animals and things, but maybe interested in even disseminating information on rabbits or grass cutters to others and taking money for it. It creates a job. Maybe interested in processing, adding value to the raw product.
Deputy Director of Information at the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations also emphasized the need for the youth to go in for demand-driven courses, which has a ready and vibrant market in the country.
There is skills mismatch. A lot of our graduates or our students go into humanities and business subjects, and they come out and find out that there are no jobs for them. So the ministry is now encouraging people, as I told you earlier, to go into vocational, technical, and the sciences and agriculture, where the jobs are.
Praxis Africa is hoping to train about 5,000 youth.
One of Ghana's foremost dermatologists, Professor Edmond Dele, has advised cosmetologists and beauticians to seek guidance and education from skin experts on chemicals and other products they use on their clients. He stressed most of the creams used contain strong chemicals like mercury and lead, which are harmful to the skin and kidney.
Speaking at a news conference in Accra to officially launch the 40th anniversary of Rabito Clinic, which he established, Professor Dele expressed worry at the spate of lead and mercury used in most cosmetic products found on the market. Bleaching substances, he stressed, damage the skin and cause skin cancer.
And there are a lot of people, hairdressers and beauty just who need advice from dermatology to guide them on the substances that they use. So I'm very happy that it's a huge challenge. Some of the creams that our ladies and gentlemen contain very dangerous chemicals like mercury and lead, which damage the kidneys and the brain. And it leads to abortion, it leads to kidney problems. And so that has been a topic that has been at my heart for all the years. So all these things, we need a lot of education.
He also encouraged young people to study dermatology, as there are just a few professionals at the moment.
For Africa and the whole of Black Africa, that is Sub-Saharan Africa, we don't even have 400 dermatologists. So it's a very challenging field, and I'm praying that this message will go around that we need young doctors to have interest in the study of the skin and its diseases.
Professor Deli added, plans are far advanced for the establishment of the University of Dermatology to heighten interest in the subject among medical students and encourage specialization.
Up next, we bring you sports and all the details on the Black Stars crashing out of the World Cup coming up with George Addo Jr. Stay tuned.
Right, certainly it's not been a very good day for us. Ghana is out of the World Cup, and you should know by now after losing by 2-1 to Portugal. Let's first of all hit the screen and find out how the goals were scored.
A meeting today, okay. And the game is underway, and what an important game it is for both sides, who know that anything less than a win will see them exit the tournament. Backed by William with his first, who jinks his way through, delivers the ball. Veloso's crossing, slashed into his own goal. It's an own goal by the Ghanaian defender John Boy. They've been informed of no doubt of that scoreline from Recife. Might get to an equaliser here, they have. And inevitably, it's that man, Samuel Gian, who scores for Ghana. Both coaches, however. Nani just about keeps this one in, and he'll aim it across there. Almost some confusion between goalkeeper and defenders. Maybe now Ronaldo, yes! He has goal number 50 of his international career. Total confusion in the Ghanaian defence, and that surely is the end of Ghana's ambitions.
All right, so that's what happened, but in games like this, it was a very crucial game. You expect the emotions to be running here and there. We actually took the cameras and we're going around to find out how our colleagues were watching the game. Have a look at this.
Ghana Chebaku, Ghana Chebaku Zomani, Ghana Chebaku Zomani.
So Abigail will be joining us with business. Maybe she has to answer the question, are the bones rotten? I think they are totally rotten. We're out of the World Cup. Don't you know that? Let's have a look at what's happening in terms of the coaches in the country. They have been assessed at what Coach Kwesi Appiah has done. The fans have been speaking to us.
Let's cut the ball. No, Charlie, no. Give who? You give who the chair ball give? Hold the ball, catch the ball. Then Kwesi Appiah no be coach. If I can coach Zetuna, you know go qualify against that. I mean, FA for dissolve FA, then everybody for there. They for dissolve. How can they break our heart like that? How can you take the day out? Then you don't distribute the ball, you jam. Then who else you go bring? You go bring Wakasu. Wakasu make he can do what? And then you bring Jordan. He do the Wakasu. Masa. Kwesi Appiah no be coach. We for sack him. If he come, he go come with us for Ghana. Yeah, we there wait for him.
We should have taken our chances, but Charlie, hard luck. Kwesi Appiah, he can't control this team. We just have to do our homework well and come back strong.
Considering the fact that this is our third time going to the World Cup, and I was expecting them to put everything in place for us to have a successful tournament. You know, starting from the management team down to the technical team to the coach, I think all of them should be sacked. The level of indiscipline in camp I mean, this is a disgrace, and the fact that Ghana, the hope of Africa, bribery allegations, match fixing allegations, supporters sleeping at the airport, not eating. I mean, Elvis Efri Yankra, for crying out loud, what did he do with the corporate money? The money the government gave to him, in addition to the corporate money he had. I mean, this is Ghana. I mean, Ghana is a hard country. You see the guy.
My coach loan 4,000. I got to Jesse. I took a loan. I bought Jesse's flags.
4,000. 40 million.
See, I'm shivering. How am I going to pay?
He can't even.
I could see up here. You. I did wait for you for the airport today. You don't watch my face.
President Anteji is not the solution to our football. We need to select players on merit. Local players, local footballers here. It's not only about foreign-based players.
Yeah, very disappointed, seriously. And then I thought Ghana was going to win. So that at the end of the day, we can say thank you to Germany for what they did for us. And then possibly we were going to go to the rounds of 16. But looking at whatever happened, I guess, yes, we tried, but we lost it. And then I should say, yes, the coach should just be there. He shouldn't even try coming to Ghana. Yeah, he should be there. But what I think I will sympathize with the players on behalf of John Boy. Yes, fine, he's a good player. He did his best. But it's a kind of mistake every player do commit sometimes. But we've tried. But all I can say is it was not worth it going there with several ambassadors and the rest.
Well, the scrutiny has only just begun. It's going on at least for the next 3 years or 4 years until maybe Ghana gets into the next World Cup. That's 2018. Now, let's quickly give you an update right now. But before we do so, because there's a game currently underway, Algeria needs to win crucially against Russia. But let's talk about Luis Suarez, who has been handed a 4-month ban by FIFA for biting Giorgio Chiellini of Italy.
All right, so Suarez will be dealing with these issues whilst we also,
but it's not enough. It's not enough. We're looking for 2 years, maybe 3 years, but fine, 4 months. We see.
I mean,
he's going to play the World Cup.
I actually thought that he was going to be given like a 2-year ban, so probably like a lifetime ban or something.
That's right.
You know. But anyway, it's all good.
Could have been a better day with us.
Let's talk about the Black Stars. Well, it's over. I want to find out that the plane that sends the cash to Brazil, is it available? Are they going to come back with that plane?
No, they're not going to come back with that plane.
You don't know that for
well, I don't know for a fact, but I don't think they're coming. No, but I don't think they're coming. Yeah, they will go back, relax a bit. We'll take some 2 days before they come back.
What has the coach been saying?
The coach says that, well, Portugal is a very strong team, and then he knew... Strong team.
Oh.
And I asked my question.
We've always known that.
We always known that. So I said, why? He said that when we're going to this World Cup, we didn't know they were a strong team is a question, but he says that, yes, it was a good game, and he felt that Portugal were better on the day. Our coach is just in shambles at the moment. It's very difficult for him to...
Okay, I feel that he should be... I mean, we shouldn't be so hard on the guy.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't need to be hard on him. There are other issues surrounding all that's happening. And the players misbehaving, it's coming from one point. It's been difficult for him to control the players. Already he's a local player, a local coach. Very difficult to handle these players. And when issues come in, like they don't have their monies and all of that, it's certainly not right, especially when FIFA had already made those monies available. We couldn't have pushed ourselves into that. And again, the decision to, get Sule Muntari and the likes out of it, maybe they could have thought about it and said we could do this after we have played the game or something of the sort. So I think just the air around him wasn't good enough. And we already made it much difficult for ourselves after we played the USA and lost to them. That was where we had to qualify. If we beat USA, we're going to give ourselves a chance, get that 4 points the USA had to qualify. And that was yesterday.
Okay.
Just a quick update on the game between Algeria and Russia. Is the final African team. We're hoping will join Nigeria. Let's quickly have a look at what's happening currently between Algeria and Russia. That's it. Now, let's get to that and have a look at that. Now, Russia leading Algeria by 1-0. So if it stays this way, Algeria out of the competition, and Africa will keep that stinking record of having only one country qualify since the beginning of the World Cup to the next stage of the competition. Even in South Africa, when we were 6, it was just one country, that was Ghana. So this year, it looks like Nigeria are going to be it, and you look at the other game, that's exactly what's happening.
Anyway, let's throw our way behind the Nigeria.
That's all we can do now.
The Super Eagles.
Super Eagles. Not say Super Eagles. Eagles. They haven't pronounced it the Nigerian way, certainly. That'll be all for sports tonight. I'm George Addy Jr. Israel is bringing some more. And how about Abigail, who says that the bones are rotten? The bones are rotting. We're out of it.
Rather unfortunate for Ghana, but I still maintain that we would never say die. Even if the bones are rotting, God is still alive and there's nothing he can't do. Time now for business. My name is Abigail Adomakwenchi. We start off with bulk oil distributors, and the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors has cast doubt on the extent to which government's moves to settle part of the debts owed its members could ease the current fuel shortage. Deputy Finance Minister has disputed claims by the bulk oil distributors that government owes them over 1 billion cedis. He maintains government owes them 304 million cedis, but the chamber insists that the amount is over 1.8 billion Ghana cedis. In another development, the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors says it is working with its foreign partners to ensure the current fuel shortage does not worsen. There's been a short supply of petrol over the last few days. The chamber had warned government's our inability to settle its debt to its members could soon lead to a shortage on the market. But CEO of the chamber said the engagement with the external partner should temporarily help the situation as they wait for government to do its part. Now we go to Parliament, and the Excise Duty Bill 2013 has been passed by Parliament. The bill seeks to augment the existing act, which, according to the Deputy Finance Minister, had loopholes. The new act has amended the loopholes and given the Ghana Revenue Authority enough powers to ensure compliance of the revenue law.
According to the Deputy Minister of Finance, Atuforsin, there were a number of excise policies scattered around as a result of the merger of the revenue agencies, which needed to be merged.
Nothing has changed in terms of rates, nothing has changed in terms of policy. What has changed is that we wanted a bill, an act of Parliament that will give the Commissioner General more power so that he can implement the law itself. If you want to maximize taxation, it's not only about rate increases, it's about what you do on the field of compliance. And what we've done here with this new law is to encourage the Commissioner General by giving him a lot of powers so he can go out there and implement the law as it is. In the previous Act of Parliament, there are a number of loopholes out there, and that is what you have to do as a tax administrator. You look at it, and because the system is so much progressive, you have to, as much as possible, adopt a continuous process, a continuous improvement system to ensure that you can close the loophole, and that is exactly what this law did, just to give the Commissioner General more powers. And obviously, in the course of administering the old Act, any loophole that we've seen in the past, we look at how to address them, and so the Act did just that.
He explains there were no major changes to the old law. Meanwhile, the House has deferred debate on the report of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs on the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, NACAP, 2012 to 2021.
The Bank of Ghana is being challenged to implement unconventional policies to support the various sectors of the economy. The central bank has rolled out quite a number of monetary policies to deal with the current macroeconomic challenges. But Executive Director of Investment Advisory firm Tikori Capital said this has not yielded the desired results. Speaking to Joy Business after an investment management ideas summit, he said targeting and investing in specific sectors of the economy is the way to go. In other news, newly elected president of the Ghana Insurance Association, Ivan Abubakar Vayire, has promised to increase insurance penetration in Ghana from the current 1.8% to 3% by the end of his 2-year term in office. He says the target can be achieved if life insurance is made mandatory for all workers in the country.
The managing director of the Global Life Insurance Company Limited takes over from Kwame Gazu Agbenyazi as the 9th president of the Ghana Insurance Association. The outgoing president, while congratulating his successor and his team, also commended the Insurance Commission for the no premium, no cover policy, which initially caused the sector some revenue.
Madam Commissioner, I would like to commend you and your management team for the introduction and enforcement of the no premium, no cover regime. Though it did impact negatively on our production in April and May, we have noted a significant recovery in June, and we expect the trend to continue. As a highly regulated industry with high public interest, a favorable, stable, and predictable legislative and regulatory framework within which to operate is most essential. That is why the seeming delay in concluding work on the draft bill for promulgation is creating uncertainty in the regulatory environment. The GIA has always expressed and demonstrated its support for these reforms. We hope that consultations between the regulator on one hand and the GIA and GIBA on the other will commence soon.
The National Insurance Commission, on their part, promises to speed up work on the bill that will regulate the operations of the sector.
Pending the passage of the bill, the Commission is preparing to issue directives on risk management and corporate governance, which will spell out corporate governance and risk management structures, procedures and principles to be implemented by each insurance company or broking firm. Work on the risk-based capital adequacy framework, which links an insurer's capital requirements to how effectively it manages risk, is far advanced. The NIC will issue a revised draft for final comments by the end of next week. The final framework, which is expected to be issued by the end of July 2014, will take effect from the second quarter of 2015.
She added that the Commission will release claims payment guidance to make the new no premium, no cover policy effective. Newly elected President Ivan Avreyire spoke about his plans for the industry.
We are trying to promote close collaboration. We are going to move together now as a unit rather than going to do things, individually. So when we all push that way, I'm sure penetration can increase because, we all agree that, in unity there's strength. If group life insurance is compulsory, every single worker who dies in the course of his employment would be taken care of. His beneficiaries will be paid monies that can let them continue with their lives as if the breadwinner was still around. So that is why we are agitating that group life insurance must be made compulsory in this country. We're also thinking that, we have what we call marine cargo insurance. The laws are there, the rules are there, but they are not too complete. So we want to appeal to government to look at those rules again because there is no punishment for those who don't do these things. And then there's the workman's compensation. Workman's compensation is on our statute books. But again, when you don't do it, there's no punishment. So naturally, people are not compelled to do what they are doing. So we think that we are going to advocate that we should look at these laws again and then get punishments in order that if you don't do it, you are going to be punished. Ghanaians must start looking at insurance as one of the surest way of mitigating, the financial, problems in the country.
The Ghana Insurers Association also swore in a new 8-member board to be headed by the newly elected president and awarded past presidents.
The Chief Executive Officer of Essence and Arts, Constance Swanika, has advocated the curriculum to be developed by the Education Ministry for the creative arts to enable students put into practice the skills they are taught at their tertiary level.
Constance Swanika, who was addressing the inaugural graduation of Arts Institute, decried the influx of cheap furniture into the country, but urged local artisans to see it as a challenge. She expressed delight at the growing interest of females in the industry, as 12 of the 23 graduates were women.
What we are saying is that Ministry of Education has to take a critical look at the school curriculum and make a change in the national school curriculum at their level. So we're hoping that they realize that, they do come to the realization that there's such a disconnect between what is being taught in the universities and industry. I think people in the furniture industry are suffering because there's a lot of cheap importation of furniture.
A representative of the trainers urged government to harness its procurement budget towards encouraging local manufacturers. The trainees were selected from various groups, including some churches.
That's all for business. For more news, go to myjoyonline.com. I'm Abigail Adumakwenchi.
Showbiz.
The late Ghanaian playwright Efo Kojomaugbe once said, playwrights see beyond the future, and he may be right after all, or to some degree. Well, that is, if the plot of Uncle Ebo White's last play, Gamesman Play, is anything to go by. So, did he really see what was going to happen to the stars at the ongoing World Cup? Showbiz has been speaking to some members of the production team.
he's running the promotion. This time around, he is giving you the ball for only $1,000.
Recent happenings in the camp of the senior national football team, the Black Stars, has left many who watched Uncle White's last play, Gamesman Play, asking if he is a prophet. The play, set in the camp of a fictional Black Stars team, saw one player kicked out of camp for breaking camp rules. The coach of the Black Stars is lured to fix the team's match, and a juju man turns up in camp, promising to help the team win that particular match. Now, these are some of the issues the Black Stars team in real life has been dodged with this past few days, from allegations of match fixing involving the FA boss to the kicking out of camp of midfielders Sule Muntari and Kevin Prince Boateng. Now, the latter is what has got many trying to draw a link between the play and the actual Brazil tournament. So, was it sheer coincidence?
The things we did in the play are not new things. They are things that have already happened. Things that actually happen in team camps, not just the Black Stars, other team camps. We hear of player riots, we hear of players who think that they are the team, you know, we hear of all these issues. So, yes, I think it's just a matter of same story, different cast.
There were other things too that the play mentioned, that the play was on, that we are still hoping to see, like victory for the Black Stars, which, yay, go Black Stars, we should win this match. And Germany should win so that USA is kicked out and we still get to qualify. We did mention a very strong coach, which, if anything, if there's much to go by the kicking out of 2 players out of camp, I would say that probably means he's putting his foot on the ground. I haven't really followed that angle of the story.
I say he didn't prophesy. I think there are similarities. The situations are similar, but they're not the same. So I think anyone who is quick to say, Uncle Bo said it, should relax. We didn't win our first match against USA. They made us pasar. And of course, we have 2 players out of camp, whereas in our production there was 1 for a completely different reason. But I think the key thing to take away is that issues do come up, and they can really affect Ghana's chances in the long run.
Now, by all indications, it was sheer coincidence. After all, Ghana lost to the US instead of the predicted victory in the play, and we just got kicked out of the tournament, much to the displeasure of many Ghanaians. So even if we wanted to elevate Uncle Ebo to the status of a prophet, would probably have to do that at a much later date.
Now, they may have started at it as a fluke, but they are well on their way to becoming a continental or even global brand. Because of Money, the world's first pidgin musical produced by the FOKN Boys, has been selected for screening at the Durban Film Festival in South Africa. The duo are also expected to perform during the festival. So that's it for the bulletin. Before we go a quick round through our top stories, government has assured it has finalized arrangements to settle its indebtedness to the bulk petroleum suppliers to end long queues of frustrated motorists in search of fuel. Some MPs, however, are blaming government's poor planning for the fuel shortage and charge it to resolve the problem as soon as possible. Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing announces resumption of work on affordable housing projects initiated by MPP administration. It says prospective owners should be able to buy their properties through mortgage schemes arranged by government. Upper East region makes some gains towards reducing neonatal deaths. And senior national football side Black Stars crash out of ongoing FIFA World Cup in Brazil after 2-1 defeat to Portugal. That's it for the bulletin. My name is Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening.